And then as I started taking away this very religious belief system of the human body, that we're hormonal, glandular, that we're basically animals in a slightly higher form, and took a look at us as this divine intention that we really are. I started seeing the mathematical extraction, the code in the human body. And when I looked at it from a computer, and I said, well, if the body is not just an animal, I am not, I respect all the animals that are on this planet, but I am not an animal. I'm something different. And then there has to be some magic in this creation, and this creation isn't as simple as that. And I started looking into that from that side, and I found that there was this thing called fascia. Back when we were in the clinical practice here in Los Angeles, we had 52 practitioners, and we had them from representing 25 disciplines. And we all worked together with all the celebrities and pro athletes. And we were doing these things, but we found that this connective tissue, fascia, was more than what we were taught.
Peace and riches blessings. I am Michael B. Beckwith, the host of Take Back Your Mind. Peace and riches blessings, everyone, and welcome to Take Back Your Mind, the podcast. I am the founder of Agape International Spiritual Center and the host of Take Back Your Mind. And guess what? Every single week, I get to have an opportunity to speak to people who are assisting people to do just that, to open up their hearts, take back their minds, integrate the higher frequencies into the body temple, and to make a mighty difference on the planet at this time in human history and beyond. Thank you for joining. I have in studio with me today, Garry Lineham. Let me tell you about him. Many of you already know him, but many of you may not. Co-founder of Human Garage, a global movement empowering people to restore health and alignment through self-directed healing. A former data encryption expert, Garry transitioned from designing secure communication systems to decoding the body's own network of fascia, discovering parallels between digital systems and human biomechanics. I can't wait to hear this, Garry. His groundbreaking approach, fascia-maneuvers, integrates breath, movement, and intention to release tension, regulate the nervous system, and realign the body. With over 200,000 realignment sessions worldwide and more than 40 million practitioners globally, Garry's work bridges technology, AI, and human potential, positioning the body as the most advanced self-healing system on the planet, an adaptive, intelligent supercomputer designed for coherence, clarity, and vitality. This is Brother Garry. He's in studio with me right this moment. Garry, listen, as I just read, your story begins in a completely different world.
It does, yeah.
Data encryption and secure communications. What opened up the doorway for you to move this into fascia maneuvers?
Well, if you go back, I'm a serial entrepreneur. So data encryption, I've had 13 businesses, but it's usually been around technology. And I was at that age, I'm at 56, and I was at that age where technology was coming into the world. But, before that, I was an athlete. I was a bodybuilder and a religious bodybuilder.
I can tell you still got it.
Thank you. And I had a bodybuilding accident, and I had a number of car accidents, and I had 8 concussions over a period of years. And they led to an increasing level of dysfunction. And like a lot of people, I would have a pain and I would just work my way through it. And it would just progressively get worse and worse. And over the course of the years, I'd been going from practitioner to practitioner. I'd spent 20 years going from practitioner to practitioner. I'd spent $2.5 million trying to just feel good in my body. And I didn't know why I didn't. And I stopped believing in the system that was telling me that I couldn't. They said, you're just going to have to live like this. And there is no way. There has to be a way. Like God didn't put me on this earth to have this much pain.
Right.
And it was a 6 to 9 pain, and it was 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. And so at the time when I had gone, and I, like a lot of people, had started going, and I was attending some sort of practitioner or massage or a chiropractor or doctor. I was doing appointments 3, 4, 5 times a week. And it's impossible to live your life and run a business and do that. Because I'd have to travel, and my team would find practitioners around where I could go.
Right.
So I had to look for another solution. And I guess, like everything, necessity is the mother of all invention.
Right.
When I was finally broken at my absolute most broken point, that's when I became a practitioner. I said, I have to figure my way out. It's either at that time I had contemplated either I commit suicide because I don't want to live like this.
Right.
Or
pain was too intense.
Yeah. Or I figured my way out. I became a practitioner, and I started taking apart the science of the human body. And I'm first of all, I'm not a doctor, and I'm not a scientist, as you would know. I'm a human scientist, and I have an incredible capacity to disrupt systems, to take them apart and understand them. And as I started taking apart the models of the human body, I started finding all of these holes. And I'm talking glaring holes, like things that you would not even begin to imagine are possible. Like in a system of scientists and doctors all over the world, how come we don't know that bones aren't structure? Because none of them touch.
Right.
Structure touches.
Right.
And I started breaking down and having all of these big sound bites that actually meant something. If your bones aren't structured, what are they? And if they're not structured, my first discipline I learned was chiropractic, then what am I doing adjusting them? And I wasn't.
They don't touch.
They don't touch. Yeah. None of your bones in your body touch except for your teeth, your rib cage, and ears. So there had to be something else. And over the time, we hypothesized that fascia was it. And then as I started taking away this very religious belief system of the human body, that we're hormonal, glandular, that we're basically animals in a slightly higher form, and took a look at us as this divine intention that we really are, I started seeing the mathematical extraction, the code in the human body. And when I looked at it from a computer, and I said, well, if the body is not just an animal, I respect all the animals that are on this planet, but I am not an animal. I'm something different. And then there has to be some magic in this creation, and this creation isn't as simple as that. And I started looking into that from that side, and I found that there was this thing called fascia. Back when we were in the clinical practice here in Los Angeles, we had 52 practitioners, and we had them from representing 25 disciplines, and we all worked together with all the celebrities and pro athletes, and we were doing these things, but we found that this connective tissue, fascia, was more than what we were taught. And then I had this epiphany one day. What if I just re-looked at the human body? What if I thought maybe the brain's not the computer? What if the body is the computer and the brain is just a processor? And that spun me off in this whole re-understanding of the human body. And that's what I started doing, is dissecting it, just like we did in Encryption, and breaking it apart in pieces.
So you went from scientific digital stuff and then coding this with the body. So you basically almost used the same language.
It is that
same language, but
that's my point.
The body temple.
That is exactly my point. Yeah. And I think with all of the people that you've interviewed and your friends like Greg Braden and Bruce Lipton, who I grew up listening to, I was trying to connect this, what they were saying, what I believed about this quantum world, but I wanted to connect it into this body.
Right.
Now, I come from Canada.
Right.
And and in Canada, we're a metric country. But if you ask how tall somebody is, they're still in feet. You ask them what the mileage is in their car, not the kilometers. We ask, even though that we have 2-liter bottles and we don't have quarts, it takes a long time to take these religious systems about how we explain the world and change them.
Right.
And we're in that change right now, because every disease and dysfunction in the history of mankind is at its peak. And if we knew so much about the human body and science, and we are now applying more science and more caring, either whether it's allopathic or naturopathic or spiritual, to the human experience. And right now we're sicker than we've ever been simultaneously. So something's wrong.
people are just sick all the time. People are
Right.
dying early,
Mm-hmm.
and they're in a kind of a malaise, a kind of a fog. And people have been that way for a while, but it just seems now there's more people
Yes.
that are going through a malaise or lethargy, flu, sickness, things of that particular nature.
And it's coming on fast.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And, you know, and it's refreshing because when I met you and I got the chance to interact with you finally in person, like you can tell that certain people don't have that. And
Yeah.
you don't. And that's because you take care of your God-given vehicle.
Yeah. I mean, you know, Agape's in his 39th year, and I have never missed a service.
I know
in
you're
39 years.
Telling me that.
Based
That's
on
amazing.
illness.
That's amazing.
You know, I mean, I've been out of town, taking a vacation, things like that, but it was never like I can't show up because I'm sick. I never even thought about that. It was until someone brought that to my attention when they were trying to count how many times I've spoken in 39 years at Agape and other places, and never mailed it in. Like you, I don't deal with that much. I mean, there are moments where I felt worse than other times.
Yeah.
But
No, those are cleansing. Like we
Yeah.
were coming in here and somebody was saying that they were feeling sick. And I'm like, you know, the science, and this is one of the things that we do in science is like when the body's in a flu or in a cold or having what we call a sickness, that's actually not sickness, that's healing.
yeah,
So if that is actually healing, if a flu or a cold is actually healing, then what was sick? Sick was what came before that, which was the lifestyle.
right. And so the body's cleansing itself.
Right.
So people
From the
always-
sickness.
So like for instance, the fever is not like a negative thing. It's actually the purification.
Correct.
And they keep trying to get rid of it, but in fact, it's burning up something.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And the other one is pain. You know, like since I was in pain for so long, I developed a relationship with pain, and I show doctors and practitioners and scientists all over the world this today. I give them a live example of pain, and I have them take an 8 or 9 pain in their body away within seconds.
Mm-hmm.
And it's by repositioning or explaining to your human experience what that pain is for.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, pain is the
It's
greatest
giving you a
motivator.
message of some kind.
It is.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's the greatest motivator of the human experience. And when we sedate it, remove it, push it away, it actually gets louder. It's like a kid tugging on the sleeve saying,
Right.
hey, pay attention over here.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. So our society oftentimes, like you say, numbs it away, but it doesn't deal with the underlying causative factors of it.
Yes.
And so it does get worse.
Yeah.
And you've just sublimated the surface symptom, but you haven't really dealt with why the symptom was there in the first place.
Which is what happened in our center. Because when Anella and myself started the Human Garage Clinic, we thought we were like doing God's work, saving the world.
Mm-hmm.
And because people who had been in pain and dysfunction from all kinds, we had 1,500 of the world's top doctors as patients.
Mm-hmm.
And when they couldn't deal with their own lives and dysfunction, they would come to us and we would find a way through.
Mm-hmm.
And the way through was it started refining itself down to a faster and faster way. But what I would see is that somebody would come in, they have an issue, and then we would take it away.
Mm-hmm.
Now, 2 years later, they came back with a
Mhm.
different issue.
They didn't change.
Right. But what happened was normally they had been dealing with that issue like once or twice a week for like 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
They came to us and then for 2 years, nothing.
No.
But when they came back, the issue was bigger, and we fixed let's say a body issue, like a leg issue, and then it was a shoulder issue 2 years later. I could start to see in these 2-year cycles, by the third cycle of 6 years, I could start to see that they were all connected.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, that the pain was different, their bodies were different. The only thing that was the same was me fixing it, and I realized that I wasn't really solving people's issues by being a practitioner.
Mm-hmm.
I was just pushing them along to continue the same behavior
Mm-hmm.
until they broke down again, and each time it got worse and worse.
Mm-hmm.
So then I really didn't want to help people because if I help you and you don't change something, it's going to be worse. I'm going to be contributing to a worse thing.
Right, right. So then what shifted in you
Well, that
to
was
do what you do? Because a lot of things you do now that I hear people talking about seems to be permanent.
okay. So there's a couple things. The first thing was I realized in 2018 we went on my wife and I went on vacation, and within 2 weeks of being on that vacation, I had to come back because I was in pain.
Mm-hmm.
So in other words, I was getting treatment in my own clinic,
Right.
and I thought I was maintaining, is what I told myself. But when I was away from it, I was in pain. So I wasn't maintaining. I was maintaining myself from not being in pain. So I wasn't fixing anything.
Right.
And I realized that if I hadn't fixed me and I had all these doctors and all this care, then what are other people going through? Then the second thing was the pandemic came. And when the pandemic came, here I am in pain again. But I'm in pain worse than before I started the journey.
Mm-hmm.
And because I knew that I could fix it if I could get to somebody.
Right.
But I couldn't get to anybody. And what spawned out of that was this unbelievable. We did these maneuvers that we would give to these pro athletes, these ways to move the fascia to like heal a leg pain or a shoulder pain, and we put them together in a sequence. And I'd be in pain in the morning. I would do them in the morning, and 7, 8 a.m. and I was good till noon, and that was fantastic.
Yeah, right. You had all that time of being pain free.
And then I would do them. I start to feel pain again. I'd do them at noon. And I'd be good till like 4 or 5. And that's fantastic. I'd do them again at 5. After a month of doing them, I didn't have to do them 3 times. I only had to do them twice. A month later, it was only once. And then the magic started to happen. It was the thing that happened to me, even as a practitioner, when I was in pain and I'd go home, is I would have a feeling of being helpless because I couldn't take care of myself. And for the first time in my life, if I had a pain, I knew I could help myself. And it gave me this courage and this strength, and it shifted my reality. And I just wanted to share that with people. So I started putting it online. And the real truth that I found is that there is nobody that can cure you, save you, or help you if you don't help yourself first.
Right.
And it's spiritual,
right.
It's biblical.
Right.
And as I, in my own life, started to help myself, I needed less and less outside intervention to the fact that I didn't need it anymore.
So this system that you develop allows people to do it on themselves.
That's
on a regular basis.
Yeah, in just minutes.
In just minutes a day. And then you're saying that if they do this on a regular basis, then there's a change that takes place. Obviously with the fascia, but the body tempo changes at some level.
It does.
And there's probably a mental and spiritual connection too.
Well, that's where I'm going, because at first I was getting rid of pain. But after a couple months of doing that, I started noticing that there was these emotions, and I'd have these emotions and I would feel pain, and I would do a fascial maneuver and I'd get out of pain, emotional pain.
Right.
And then months later, I realized that there was trauma connected to those emotions or those pains and those physical pains. And then I was unraveling this cycle that I had developed, like everybody has. And all of these memories and thoughts and feelings and emotions and perceptions started coming out. And it was not comfortable for me. It was not comfortable for the first 18 to 24 months. It was quite...
You were doing therapy on yourself.
I was.
And you were releasing the congealed thoughts and emotions that were in the body, causing the stagnation and the pain.
Yes.
So the maneuvers were doing it.
Yes.
And along with your conscious intention to be healthy.
Right.
Yeah.
And then the magic happened. The magic is this, I have truly believed that if one person can do it, everybody can do it. So any ability that any one person has, everybody has the same ability collectively, but some of us access them more easily, readily. Like some people can sing and some people can do math, and
right.
some people can hold space, but we all have the same innate abilities as humans.
Right.
And they're just like an instrument, and some of it's tuned into a different area.
People have different gifts.
Right.
Yeah.
But we all have the same ones if we remove what took them away, which is restriction. And I was with Dot yesterday at the hike.
Yeah, right.
And
that's one of our choir members here at Agape.
And she teaches, and I was laughing with her because I could not sing my entire life. And when I removed the restriction from my vocal cords, the fascial restriction, all of a sudden I could sing. And
I'm up for that.
Well, but it seemed like magic to me because as a kid I always wanted to sing, but everybody told me to shut up.
Right.
And then all of a sudden I could reasonably sing.
Right.
And so as I started removing the restrictions in my fascia, I started connecting at a different level, and then I started having these thoughts. It's like, well, I have the thought in my head when I'm around somebody, and that doesn't feel like my thought. Is that your thought? And over time, I started to realize that I was connecting to people at a different level. And what was I connecting with? I was connecting with what I believe, and here's what I believe right now. The human vehicle receives and translates and transmits information. But the information is outside of us. I don't believe that my personal belief, I don't believe that we even think. I believe thought happens here and we perceive it. And if that's the case,
I'm totally with you. I teach that.
I know you teach that, but it's one thing to hear it, and it's another thing to experience it, embody it.
Yes.
And so as I started unwinding I realized that the thought was happening outside of me, and I was just translating it.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what really changed it for me. I went on a 44-day fast with two of my co-founders.
Wow.
It wasn't an intention of 44 days, but in that 44-day fast, food takes up 80% of the nervous system energy to digest, process, eliminate.
Mm-hmm.
And I know you fast too.
Mm-hmm.
Somewhere around between the 28th day and the 44th day, it became a superpower where that energy and the utilization of that energy was no longer there. So I had increased perception of the world around me.
Right.
That's where all my learning happened.
Mm-hmm.
Because I knew that if I could do it even in the fast, even if I ate again, I knew I had the ability. And if I knew I had the ability, I could tune into that.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I work with people today, all I'm doing is helping them bridge that voice that's outside of them, that thought
Mm-hmm.
that's not able to resonate in their body.
Mm-hmm.
And when I connect those two, that's what healing is. Healing
Mm-hmm.
is not, it's the body's understanding and our conscious awareness accepting of the message that our God sense, our human
is broadcasting all
is
the
broadcasting.
time. Yeah. We're not tuned in.
Yeah.
I teach the very same thing. We don't really think thoughts, we obtain them.
It's absolutely.
And you're either obtaining them from the sea of mental garbage, or you're obtaining them from the mind of God, which is inspiration.
Yeah.
But your focus, your resolve, your intention determines where you're obtaining them from.
Sure.
Yeah. And so many people are just unconscious. So they're picking up thoughts of the world from the news media and all of that. And they believe those are their thoughts, but they're not.
They're not.
That's garbage. But the thing about it is they can actually experience those thoughts as if they're their own.
So let me tell you something that I learned about the human body. Number one is things that we don't think about. Number one is minerals or metals.
Mm-hmm.
So calcium is metal.
Right.
Our bones have silica and calcium, and so they actually send and receive signal.
Yes.
And like a cell phone, you have an antenna, on the sacrum of a body, it's a little triangle. If you MRI that, there's a spiral, because everything in nature has a spiral.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a spiral, and then there's a pull all the way up the spine with a ball on the top.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you and I are old enough to remember what cell phone antennas look like.
Yes, back in the day.
So our bodies, our bones, which is the metal, is actually structured like a cell phone antenna.
Mm-hmm.
Our body is made of water and sand and bacteria. That's an organic crystal like you have right here.
Mm-hmm.
These are crystals.
Right.
That's water, sand, and bacteria. And live crystals are organic or growing. And like a cell phone, even today, a cell phone has that same antenna. It's changed the shape a little bit. It's internal. But on top of it, that antenna goes about somewhere between 150 and 300 feet. And what they do is they put a crystal on top of that to amplify it into miles,
Mm-hmm.
so it can send and receive. And our fascia, on top of that bone is the antenna, and that fascia is
Mm-hmm.
the crystalline structure that amplifies our signal.
Mm-hmm.
And when that fascia is dirty, like if you take the phone on a crystal on a phone and you crack it,
Right.
or if it's dirty, it'll still work, but it'll diminish the signal.
Right.
And that's what happens in our body when we're dehydrated, demineralized, heavy metals put in our system. Our crystal gets blocked, and it doesn't have the ability to properly translate those signals.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's static on the line.
Yeah,
So you can't hear the original broadcast.
that's right.
And you can't rebroadcast it at a higher level because of the static.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, this is great, man.
And so,
Sometimes I call the bones the tuning forks of the body temple.
but they are.
Yeah.
That's literally what they are. Our bones. That's why when you see sound practitioners, they take a tuning fork and they
Right.
put it on your bone. It'll tell you if your bone is broken.
Right.
It'll actually retune the bone. You can see it on photonic scans. You can take a tuning fork and put it right on your skull, and you can see the energy, the shape, and the color inside the brain change.
Right, right,
So we are a tuning fork.
right.
And part of what you're saying is what do we tune into? And currently the world has got our systems confused on purpose. It's put heavy metals in our system, which distract and distort the signal.
Right, right,
And we put chemicals in which tell our nervous system that we're getting something that we're not.
right.
And
mhm.
just like anything, we call this food engineering.
Mhm.
What we're engineering is the food engineering. What it's engineering is is inside of us. It's engineering the response of the human fluid adaptive biological computing system. That's what we are. And these responses are being engineered by food. They're engineered by chemicals, by the air that you're breathing. It's engineered by the shape of the room that you're in. And that's why
everything's affecting.
Yeah, Greg Braden. He literally tuned me into that when I was younger.
Right. This is beautiful. So everything's affecting us.
Everything.
The time you were born,
everything.
The feng shui of the room.
Yes.
Obviously, the food and the stuff you put in your body, temperature, and all of that.
Have you ever been you have been in a big, expansive building over top of a mountain or looking out over a hill,
Sure.
and you feel expansive?
Right.
You put yourself in a little room, and you put it underground or deep, and you feel less expansive.
Right.
And as you teach, the inside-outside world are just
Mirrors.
reflections,
Right.
mirrors.
Right.
So part of it is even the fact that we, like the simplest thing, we agreed upon Pythagoras' theorem, which changed our numbering system from 0 to 9 back to 0, which means that if by that theorem, we have everything in the world that has these sharp edges to it. Our world is constructed of them. But if we agreed to go to 8 as our measuring system, everything would be round like this table. When the human body sees a point, it actually creates adrenaline in the body because the body says, I could fall on that point. It's dangerous. The human body sees that point like a point of a table and actually sends a little spike of adrenaline to create your awareness to follow it because that's dangerous. And you can see, like sometimes people like sharp, tight lines in their house and everything's ordered in this tight squares. And they're also like that. There's certain disciplines of movement that are like that. I'm not going to name them like Pilates or anything. No, I'm just kidding. No, but you can see that there's these sharp lines.
Right.
And everything affects us. And everything contributes to how we receive and we retransmit.
Right.
And that's why, even right behind us, we have the crystals and you have the Buddha, you have the bowls. And these are all contributing to what we're doing. And it's time for us as humans to understand that our environment impacts us much greater than we were ever told.
Right. I had Marie Diamond on. Marie
Yes,
Diamond. Yeah. She was talking about that extensively in terms of turning your whole house into a vision board. So,
yes.
By where you place what you place. So that, as you're saying, the whole environment just impacts our whole auric field every time we step into it. Yeah.
And we have all of these people and things that people do to motivate them and to, drive them towards. And we agree from a standpoint of somebody who wants to be successful. Like if they're playing basketball or if they want to be a football player, if they want to be the best at something in the world, we go into their house and they have all of these on the visions and we have everything around it and it's all built around that. You can see that the greatest athletes and greatest people in the world who often you counsel and mentor, they are very much like this. And we say, that's okay for success. But if I do that in my regular life, it's weird.
Reminding me of, I counseled a couple one time and they were having some issues and he was a professional hockey player. And as I watched their dynamic, I said, you're taking your hockey persona into your relationship.
Right.
It's just not going to work. He was still a hockey player while he was with his woman. And so he was controlling and demanding and maneuvering and all of these things. And then, after a while he was able to see, so he would drop that at the rink and come home and be a man, But yeah.
Yeah. So hockey, growing up in Canada, I have a lot of professional hockey players as friends. Hockey is one of those interesting sports where the hockey players, they're boys. They never grow up.
Well, a lot of the athletes don't grow up emotionally.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And
been in the locker room since they're in junior high school.
Yeah. and to all your athletes that are out there, and I know who you are and you know who I am, and I don't mean it in a negative way.
Right,
I mean it. That's part of also the best athletes are the ones who are still kids when they play the game.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's
the magic.
I was watching when the Dodgers were playing, and they were kids. When they won the championship, they were just beautiful kids playing. All the teams were, but I was just, I saw that. I said, oh, these are boys. They're just nice kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so part of it we were talking about is the environment, whether it's the work environment, the physical environment. And if we can help people have a better understanding of that, then they start to make these incremental changes. And that's what, so in my life, the Human Garage is a worldwide movement. Tens of millions of people that are doing some form of self-care every day. And the reason why it's important right now is there's a number of reasons, but if we go back 65 years ago, even 40 years ago, when you started teaching, the reliance back 40 years ago is still the majority of and well over 80% of health issues were handled by moms and grandmothers and by fathers in the neighborhood,
the elders.
And today we have the reverse of that, where 98% of health issues are handled by a medical doctor or a system telling you about it. And the innate knowledge, it's not even we restored the knowledge to the community, it still wouldn't work because they don't have the belief, and when their body hurts and they're in pain, it overrides that belief system and they run back to the system that we've been indoctrinated. And the environment that got us here was insidious. Like we use media collectively, but that media, like right now, if you watch a movie on, it doesn't matter whether it's Netflix or any movie that has budget, somebody always goes to a doctor. Somebody always has a prescription. Somebody always has to have a Band-Aid or something that's outside. There's these constant
and
subtle...
now smoking is back.
Yes, smoking
and alcohol are back in all the movies. There was a period of time where that wasn't there for a while, but now it's back very strong. One of the main characters is always smoking and always drinking.
And these are subtle images that are insidiously placed in around thrill and color and laughter and eroticism that trigger the nervous system and make it okay. But these are the markers that have messed us up as a society, and people are fighting. I see people all the time like fighting the good fight. Like they make sure that their food is organic. They cook for themselves. They go work out every day, and they don't realize that they're working out. They're wearing plastic. If you're wearing plastic, microplastics are much bigger. We're worried about them in the ocean.
Right.
We gotta worry about them in our ocean.
Body temple. Yeah.
Yeah, and then they're doing all these things that are right, but then they go and they forget that the biggest thing that we consume is information. And if that information that we're consuming is even just slightly off, it changes every part of our physical, mental, and emotional well-being.
Right.
And this is part of my journey. My journey was disconnecting from the system. And as I unplugged myself over a couple of years, one of the things that happened for me, I'm very visceral. I have a lot of Capricorn in my emotions in my body. So I was detoxing, and every month I would vomit projectile for 3 months for 2 years.
While you were detoxing?
Yeah.
Conscious detox.
Conscious. I was detoxing physically. I went into the mountains into Canada, outside of Vancouver in Lions Bay, and we were in the mountains, overlooking an ocean, all the toxins removed, and I didn't have to go to work because it was COVID. So I had removed all of the toxins, and I didn't watch TV. I just literally woke up and did my thing every day, and I disconnected. And I was online talking and teaching to people, but I was not consuming anymore.
Right.
And
that's like a living meditation.
It was.
Yeah.
And so my body was the instrument of detox, and I vomited every month. It took me a while to figure out that it was the full moon. Every month I would vomit for 3 days.
You were vomiting on full moon.
Yeah. And now everybody has their own way of doing this, but when people
You did werewolf style.
Werewolf style. But when people do this, they're going to do this in one way or another, whether it's an emotional, a relationship, or a physical. I'm very embodied, so I tend to push it through my body. But I didn't, at the time, I didn't realize it was because I was detoxing or disconnecting from life. So that with the fast.
From the human experience, not from life.
Yeah.
But from human experience.
You're right.
You were detoxing from human experience.
Yeah, the current human experience.
Right.
And that along with the fasting, and I fasted for 10 to 20 days a month for 2 years. And those two things changed me. And I could no longer see the world in the way that I saw it before.
Yeah. You were seeing through the world.
Yeah.
you could see the experience of the world, but you weren't in it. You're seeing through it.
Right.
Because you're in a different space.
Right.
Yeah, I understand that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to ask you a couple of things because you covered a lot of material.
Sure.
One of the things you said was network integrity became nervous system regulation. That's a great reframe.
So
unpack that for a
network
second.
integrity. So in your physical network, like if your physical network, your computer is not working, like your Wi-Fi router is not working, if the power is not working, if the components inside your computer are dysfunctioning, you won't be able to display what you want on your screen, and you won't be able to transmit information. Well, the network of the body, it starts inside the body is the fascial system, which has trillions of proprioceptive connections, and there's the brain has 100 billion connections. The fascia has 100 trillion connections, but those connections are not only, we try to measure them physically, but they're the ones that connect you outside. Like we have 5 senses that we regulate: sight, sound, touch, taste, hearing, smell. But every human, every fluid adaptive biological computing system, every human experience has 15 clairsentience, clairaudience, all the other ones.
Right.
But,
I just taught that last night.
Yeah, did you?
Was this Thursday? Tuesday? Yeah, I taught. We have 15 senses. Most people are dimensionally challenged because they're only living in 5.
In 5.
Why would you go through a human experience and only live in 5?
But the reason why is because this is what we're talking about. Nervous system.
Yeah.
Words you used actually. Network
integrity became nervous system regulation.
Okay, so the network of the human body inside is the fascial network, which connects every living tissue, every organ, tendon, bone, nerve, gland, your brain. Everything is connected to the fascial system. It is the electricity. It's what not only physically holds it together, it's what electronically holds it together. It's piezoelectric, it's bioacoustic, it's harmonic. It's the function of our life. And if that integrity is even slightly diminished, then the body, the human experience is so powerful, it will find its way around, but it does have problems. And then it uses this energy to make around, to build processes around, to get you information, to get information out. And that takes energy, which is that energy comes away from those 10 senses.
Right.
And
So people become stagnant within a very limited paradigm.
Right.
And then they don't have access to the other aspects of their being.
Yeah.
Some people don't even believe in it.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard not to believe it because every while somebody goes, even the ones that don't believe it, I just had this feeling.
Yeah. Well, deja vu. I saw this before it happened.
Yeah. And so those things are real, but again, it's like there's very mythical around it. And if we clean up our fascia, which the starting of that is to provide the proper water content.
Yeah.
And people think that we've been tricked into drinking water when drinking water is actually the problem. It's about maintaining water in our system, and our body gets more water than just
I want you to repeat
nutrition.
that because that's something very important what you said. It's not just drinking water, but it's maintaining water in the system.
The number one cause of chronic dehydration is the overconsumption of water. Yeah, because we first of all drink water that's demineralized, and if water goes over a rock and over a course of, like in a waterfall, over years it'll wear a hole in that rock because it takes the minerals.
Right.
Well, if you take the minerals away from water, like the one that's absolutely, it's like literally worse than pharmaceuticals, is reverse osmosis water.
Everybody keeps saying that. All the people that I respect.
Yeah.
Say exactly what you just said.
You drink reverse osmosis water, it's worse than the drugs that you're taking. Because it's ripping all of the minerals and life out of your body. You are the rock, and it's taking out. And if those minerals are deficient, not only does your body not hold the water properly, but each one of those 102 minerals is a pathway through, and each one of them goes to a nerve, an organ, a tendon, and there's combinations. It's like it's part of the network. And so you could be diminished on 10 or 12 or 15 of those minerals, and your body will find its way around. But over time, that's what wears down your fluid. That's what aging is.
Yeah.
It wears down your system.
And it becomes a condition for a disease.
And disease is the body's not at ease.
Right.
So if you have fear in your body, then your body's not at ease.
Right.
When you have fear at your body no longer digests and processes. Because
Right.
fear, adrenaline hits the body, the blood leaves the core and goes to the limbs.
Right.
So you don't digest properly.
Right.
You don't assimilate properly. So then food goes into your small and large intestine not properly assimilated.
Right.
That means your liver has to work harder.
Right.
Now, all of a sudden, your fear that your spouse, that low-level fear that your spouse is going to leave you or cheating on you, or the taxation department's going to get you, or somebody's going to find out something you did and you're going to be ashamed. All of those things now equate to something over decades that we can measure with an allopathic lab test.
Right. Which is what?
Like anything, every disease.
Yeah.
Disease is the greatest draw of power on the human system is emotion, energy, emotion. When it gets stuck, our body uses all of its energy to try and resolve it.
Right. I saw a chart this doctor put together that showed if you were lacking a particular disease, a particular mineral, here's the disease you'll have.
Yes.
Just named all of you. You don't have selenium, you're setting yourself up for cancer. If you don't have vitamin D, it was very telling that if you're drinking reverse osmosis, as an example, that you just said, you're pulling all those minerals out of you and you're setting yourself up for a disease.
Yes.
And then you'll get a drug to handle the disease, but it's not going to handle the disease.
Right.
Because you're demineralized.
Yeah.
So you're just covering up the disease.
And then we have what people like my father and that generation, they're like, I just eat a good diet and that's the way it is. And that's what, and because a good diet, like if you take a simple thing like today, the minerals and the nutrients that you get from a cup of spinach today.
Mm-hmm. Oh my God.
A cup of spinach 30 years ago equals 146 cups of spinach today.
Right.
So the thing is that our food supply has been demineralized and denourished. So people can't go and do the same things that a lot of this information came from 30, 40 years or from 100 years of living. And that information is no longer valid.
Right. I mean, it used to be said that an apple a day keeps the doctor away. Now you got to have 30 apples.
Now you got a doctor for another issue, overfibered.
Yeah.
So there's these shifts in the way that the world has come, like for example, in our food chain, our food supply, which has made it worse. And back to the drinking of water. Your water, we're made up of water, silica, sand, bacterias. Mm-hmm. That's what we're made of. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to say viruses because I have a completely different belief system, not for this podcast. Mm-hmm. But those are the building blocks. If you spin a human being down into a condenser,
the body,
that's what we come to is those ingredients. That means we're a liquid crystal. And if we are diminished in the primary resource that we have, the primary construction, like if you all of a sudden this building built of concrete, if all of a sudden we take away 20% of the concrete and we extract it from the infrastructure, the building starts to collapse. And that's what's happening with us as human beings. And water is not only to be drinking nutritionally. Like you've touched my body and I feel like an 8-year-old baby. This is 80% water. I propose that everybody was like this 50, 60 years ago. We just don't know it.
Right.
I get water from my shower. I get water from my bath. And when I fasted for 2 weeks without, when I was thirsty, I would just get in a bath or get in a lake.
You remind me of my friend Dick Gregory. He used to say that. When he would say, you don't need, you just go sit in the ocean. We've been taught that we need to consume all this water, and even if we're consuming good water, we're over consuming the water, and it might be the bad water. It might not even be good water,
and we're not even gonna get there. I brought my good water, my living water. Here.
One of my friends from Africa used to tell me that all the time. He used to say, "You Americans, you just drink water all the time." He says, "We drink good water, and we're not dehydrated. You drink a lot of water and you're dehydrated.
Yes.
Why?"
Yeah. So that's at the foundation. And in order to combat the chemical load that's on the environment today, what is the solution? Because we've talked about the problem. What we found in the clinical practice with those 200,000 sessions, 10,000 clients, it's 200,000 individual interactions, but there was dozens of interactions around there. So it's really millions. What we found with 50,000 lab tests, over 10,000 people, that if we increased silica, my wife came to me one day, and she had this crazy idea that she got from this guy named Santos Bonacci, and I went and I followed it, and I'm like, that makes sense. And we added silica to the protocol of all 10,000 people. And what happened was they changed. And again, anything can be an isolation, and somebody who's a practitioner, doctor, scientist said, yeah, there could be a lot of factors, and I agree. But what we did do is we then scaled that now to tens of millions of people worldwide with this information. So what we found is that 600 milligrams of silica, and you can get silica from horsetail, you can get from silicon dioxide, from biosil, from diatomaceous earth.
How much is in diatomaceous earth?
80% silica. So
It's 80% silica?
five teaspoons a day. But you don't start there, because that stuff is vicious. It evicts all the parasites in your system.
Right.
It is
I've
like
been taking it for years.
it's like a landlord for parasites.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like kicking them out. And the reason why I get in trouble talking about it because ivermectin is one of the ones that's an antiparasitic. Well, so is diatomaceous earth, but it's almost free.
Right.
So 600 milligrams of silica, a full spectrum of 102 minerals. Irish sea moss and bladderwrack give you 102. And then that's the starting point. That's the turning point. And then moving your tissue. You have to move the tissue because you can take all the right things inside, but all the blood goes to that tissue, like right into the fascial tissue. And if it can't get there,
Right.
It's like putting water on this table. It's finished. It's not going to absorb. It's going to run off. Well, our stuck tissue in our body is like this table, and we need to like sand it. We need to give it adhesion so that it absorbs water again. That's our fascia, and that's what the fascial maneuvers do. They give adhesion to the fascia so it breaks up the layers so that it can absorb water.
Right. You're moving.
That's why they work so well.
Yeah,
I mean, and listen, I'm going to say, as much as I'm known around the world for an expert in fascia, and what I know today is I don't know anything. I really don't, and I mean this. And I'm okay if I'm wrong. I'm going to give everybody the best example or definition I have today. But I know that this is going to change with better information. So I'm open to anybody's suggestion. I'm not claiming to know anything. I'm observing what works and I'm giving it to people.
Right. And you touched a lot of people. So you talked about a little bit. We're going to come in close to an end. What would you tell people just the beginning to debug themselves? What's the beginning steps for people?
So movement is life.
Okay.
The origin of all movement is breath. And you hear people say this all the time. Breath is life. And in Hebrew, barak, I'm probably going to butcher that and say it wrong, but baru.
It's good to have a wife.
Good to have a wife who is like speaks fluent Hebrew there. But in a lot of words, breath means life. But breathing, people assume that they're breathing right. Because we sit in chairs, the lower rib cage, those two floating ribs, what's the purpose?
Right.
It's to expand so that the lungs can expand, because the lower lungs are what translate all of the oxygen into the tissue. It gives you the proper amount of carbon dioxide. But there's not a modality, including yoga or anything else that I can see that does this, but fascial maneuvers, what they do is they counter-rotate, and when they do that, it causes the lower ribs to the fascia to let go. And so that it opens up and oxygenates the blood. So the first thing is to move the body in such a way that the body can breathe properly.
Okay.
And I have personally activated tens of thousands of diaphragms on people, including some of the best breathwork practitioners, people that you know as practitioners in the world.
They do breath work. Yeah.
Yeah. And I have only found ever in my whole career 3 people that had properly activated diaphragms. So it's not a little thing. It's people
chronic.
People can breathe, but that's the first thing, is to get the body into movement, fascial maneuvers, do something, 15-minute stress reset that we have. It's free on our YouTube.
Tell them about that. So this one you just described about the diaphragm, is that on the YouTube channel?
Yeah, it happens in that 15-minute stress reset,
all right.
because what we do is we counter-rotate the body, and that forces the body and the lungs into a constrictive point, and the body says breathing's the highest priority. So it automatically heats the fascia around the lower rib cage and opens up the diaphragm.
Okay.
So that 15-minute stress reset does 2 things. Number one, it decompresses the pressure in the body and then opens up the diaphragm so the body can breathe properly, and that the pressure dysregulation from doing things like sitting all day or wearing tight pants and all these things, or women wearing bras that cause pressure dysregulation, that helps the body repressurize. And that takes stress out of the body. In the first 15 minutes, in the first 7 to 10 minutes, you relieve 75% of the stress in the body.
Doing the maneuver.
By any measurable way that you want to do it. And don't take my word, go out and do it and test your stress. Hormone testing, impedance testing, whatever. you do that once or twice a day, and you do that for 28 days, your life starts to change, because that's what my journey was. And I wish I could say that I knew that that's what I was doing. I just was trying to get out
You
of
were
pain.
experimenting on yourself.
I was trying to get out of pain.
Yeah, I always say that we are scientists of ourselves, and we are the research project to practice spiritual principles, etc., to see how they work on us, not just have a bunch of information, but to actually put it into practice.
Yeah, we're the N of one science experiment.
You're it.
Yeah.
Yeah. This has been great, man. You answered everything I wanted to ask you in this document right here. we just went through it.
I think because I'll say honestly, it's because truth is truth.
Mm-hmm.
And what we're doing is just having an honest, truthful conversation.
Right.
And when we talk in measures of truth, all of the answers come out anyways.
Just come out.
Yeah.
Get your die tenacious earth. So listen, tell them how they can find you and your website as well as YouTube channel.
I want to just say one thing is that this is a social movement of impact. Myself and my co-founders receive no financial benefit. We don't take salaries. We're not getting houses or cars out of the money we make. And this movement is meant to get out to the people. Our primary product is free. So anybody, anywhere, it's accessible at any capacity. And you go to Human Garage on any social channel and you'll see us. And what I want you to do is don't take my word for this. Take this challenge. Go with a 15-minute stress reset on our YouTube and do it for 3 days. Just give yourself 3 days. Take that 15 minutes, give it back as your life force. And then if it works for you, like I believe it will, I want you to do one really important thing. I want you to share it with 3 people. And if you do that, the magic of healing not only happens to you, but when you give away a truth and you help somebody else, in my personal experiences, the healing comes back to you. And that's what transforms the world.
Beautiful. All they have to do is go to Human Garage.
Anywhere. Any social platform. Human Garage, we
YouTube,
yeah,
Instagram, anything.
Anything. You'll find us. Well, except for TikTok right now. They took us off because we talked about minerals they didn't like. But we're coming back to TikTok, you guys. We'll get this shaked out already.
You need your 102 minerals, though, even though it may have been taken off. You need them. Peace and blessings, everyone. I'm here with Brother Garry from Human Garage. This has been a great, great conversation. Peace and radical blessings. Peace and dynamic blessings. Many of you have written letters about how much you really appreciate the Take Back Your Mind podcast and the life questions. So appreciate those letters. Now, our particular program here, these episodes, it's powered by spiritual purpose, but it also has powerful sponsorship. The primary sponsor is Agape International Spiritual Center. So everything that goes on here, Agape is behind it. So what I want you to do, I want you to support the Take Back Your Mind podcast. Go to agapelive.com, make a donation, put a little indication that you're supporting the podcast in that donation, or text the word give to 424-321-6243. Write the word podcast so we know you're supporting this wonderful program of Take Back Your Mind. The secondary sponsor is Neutralize. This is the company that actually produces my particular supplemental line called Adaptozen. I have the Super Greens, I have the Elevate fermented mushrooms, and a number of other products that are emerging. Just go to Neutralize.com, find Adaptozen, and you know what? Uplift your spirit, uplift your body. Remember to share all of this with your friends and support our wonderful sponsor. Have a beautiful day. I have a tendency to say peace and blessings. Peace is the dynamic of harmonizing good, and blessings are what's always happening from the eternal broadcast of the living one. There's always blessings everywhere, just as there are what human beings may call miracles everywhere, but are you receptive to it? So when I say peace and blessings, that's what's encoded within that. It's not just a throwaway sentence. It's like the dynamic of harmonizing good and receptivity to blessings is what I'm offering you. How do we get there? One of the ways that we become more receptive is through the art and the science of meditation, which is why on Take Back Your Mind, I have meditation infused within the program. I describe meditation as paying undistractable attention to that which is real. Real is capitalized. It means eternal, that which is forever. There's a difference between everlasting and eternal. The pyramids are everlasting, as an example, with the presence of God's love and beauty and joy, which are spiritual qualities, intelligence, they are eternal. So we're going to turn within for a few moments. We're going to establish ourselves as spiritual beings having a human incarnation, and we're going to sit in stillness, silence, and develop a sacred solitude in which we are in a different world than the world of human condition. Close your eyes. Tap on the space between the eyebrows and say to yourself, I am willing to see without the use of my physical eyes. You can say that to yourself or out loud. I am willing to see without the use of my physical eyes. Now you've made yourself available to go beyond the five senses into other senses that you do possess and can activate as you acknowledge them and go into spiritual practice. Now sit and be very, very still. Imagine a beam of light from the bottom of your feet going all the way to the core of the earth. And be aware part of you is an earthling, emerged from the earth, body temple made of the earth, and you now have access to all knowledge that's ever been born of human experience that's loaded within the noosphere of the planet. That light, see it emanating, coming up your body, up the spinal column, activating the chakras, that they are spinning clockwise, all the way up through the top of your head, out into infinity. This is a reminder that you are a spiritual being, having a human incarnation. You are simultaneously an earthling, body temple, made of the earth. You're primarily a spiritual being having a human incarnation. Now, intend to wake up to the glorious nature of your spiritual nature that will infuse your human nature. All you say is, I am willing and receptive to wake up to my glorious spiritual nature. Let it be an intention. Now sit still, silent, at your sacred solitude. Your fortress of solitude emerges around you. You're in a different world. Not in the world of human condition. You are living, moving, and having your beingness in the transcendent wisdom, transformational knowledge, intelligence, love, and beauty that are eternal and timeless. Sit with the intention to wake up to your glorious nature. Give thanks. Give thanks for these precious moments of stillness and silence. Give thanks for the eternal broadcast emanating from the living one, the divine presence, the source. Give thanks that you have upleveled your ability to receive the broadcast For you are not merely human. You are a spiritual being having a human incarnation, and you have more senses than 5. We give thanks for these precious moments, this sacred pause that refreshes, and we vow to carry this frequency into the world of our activity, that our thought, our words, and our actions are in alignment with the fundamental harmony of the cosmos. And all of this good that's being broadcast is happening now, and we are receptive. And so it is. Amen. Peace and blessings. Your time is very valuable, so I want to thank you for tuning in to Take Back Your Mind. If you want to submit a life question, please do so. Email us at podcast@michaelbeckwith.com, and perhaps one day I'll be answering your question that will touch the lives of so many. If you've enjoyed the show, you might as well submit a 5-star review. You might as well tell your friends and family. Let's spread the love. Until we meet again, maintain your awareness. Take back your mind. Because when you take back your mind, you take back your life. Peace and blessings.